Hey everybody, Adam Savage at Fonco in LA. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Fon and I have now worked together over the course of about 22 years. Wow. And we joke about the fact that we worked on all the bad sequels, The Matrix 2 and 3, Star Wars 1 and 2, Mummy Returns. And it is almost axiomatic in the film industry that you work on a lot of movies and most of them are movies you wouldn't necessarily watch again. That happens. But every now and then you get to work on something that is a genuine masterpiece. And I want to talk about Galaxy Quest.
Yes.
This is the best movie I worked on. And I was only on this show for like 3 weeks.
Yes. Best Star Trek movie ever.
It is the best.
It's my favorite quote. I don't know who said that, but...
No, what I've heard is that Wrath of Khan is the best Star Trek film and Galaxy Quest is the second best Star Trek film. I totally think that's a very reasonable...
I agree. I would agree.
So we have a genuine piece of ILM-produced Galaxy Quest hardware here. Will you talk about it?
Yeah. This is the hangar for the Protector.
The Thermian-built dock.
And these are all, if you get in there, you can see there's all the Thermians standing there watching the Protector pull out in this really grand ceremony.
And they took a transparency of the actors on set and then had it reprinted thousands of times because there were many of these.
Yes.
This dock was a full-size set.
Yes. And these are not even the hero ones. You see there's gels in there that break up the windows.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially a light box, and without those gels, it would look like a light box.
Oh,
on the hero ones,
sorry, you mean the gels that are doing the difference between the green and the blue?
Yes.
That's to create a little bit of...
Yeah, if you look at a high-rise, you never see the same color temperature from one window to the next. It varies a lot from floor to floor, from room to room. So on the hero pieces, there's up to 5 different colors of gel, all very, very subtly different. You know, I thought that was one of the coolest tricks on this miniature. But
that is one of those great things that a director of photography can bring to the knowledge base.
Right.
Like, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah, and this was a really, like, the framing that held all this together with these giant water jet cut steel frames. You remember that?
Now I do remember that.
Yeah.
They were beautiful.
They were. But at the end of the show, there was no way that you could display the model. No one knew what to do with it. So these ended up in the break room in the model shop, leaned against the wall in a corner next to the door, and it said "free."
Oh my God.
And they were there for a very, very long time. Finally, I felt a little weird about grabbing them, so I grabbed one. I wanted to make sure that everyone had a fair chance of grabbing this beautiful piece of history. And then later I came back and grabbed more because no one cared. It's the weirdest thing.
I want to talk about the economy of scale here, because this idea that, first of all, there's this lovely idea that you break up the windows because in real life, no 2 windows have the same color temperature. In the second instance, in film, you do that so you get this more interesting frame, but you don't have to do it for everything. You only do the multiple color temperatures for the stuff close to the lens, and everything else can drift into the background.
Yeah.
And while you might, there's still an amount of effort in someone gluing in every single one of these transparencies.
Yes.
But the cost and time savings of just doing 2 colors for background.
Yeah. And then the ones in distant background had none.
Oh, wow.
They were just all single color. I have to share this because I find it interesting. I was showing this piece to Matt Winston, who is Stan Winston's son, right? Yeah. And he said, "I'm in that slide." He played one of the Thermians, and he's actually one of the Thermians in here duplicated 1,000 times.
That is freaking cool. So
that's just trivia.
My job on Galaxy Quest, the only 3 weeks I had was to do a hero close-up version of this. So I built a double set like this, double-sized. So it was like 8 feet long or 6 feet long and really high, and I had bigger transparencies, and that was 3 weeks and out.
Wow.
But it was at least a film I want to see again.
Yeah, no, this is definitely one of those movies. I'd say it's that and Starship Troopers are 2 of my favorites that we got to do over there. Because if I see them on TV, I find myself watching them with commercials even. Just because they're just so entertaining.
There's something else I want to point out about this, and it's a lead-in to more talking about Galaxy Quest and painting. If you look really closely at these, I can see at least 5 or 6 colors of gray, up to and including some little airbrush drop-offs here on the edges. Again, what I can see is a model painter who's doing this and then stepping back and like, oh, let me break that up just a little bit. It's a little too regular, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. It's kind of, well, it's partly because it's got the Star Trek aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging aesthetic for model makers because in Star Wars, it's very busy and everything's dirty.
And there's tons of scale.
Yeah. So it's really easy to kind of pull that off. But to get scale out of something that is very clean finished, you have to do it with the utmost subtlety.
And it's
got to be there, but it can't grab your eye.
And we talked about the Star Trek aesthetic being like a very regular utopist aesthetic, but even still in these wide flat planes, you see the painter just like threw in some masking tape, threw in a different color, got a little bit of breakup there.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of color variance you might not notice in a Star Trek model.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and then you can see the airbrushing here. That's all, like some areas are totally clean, and then just a little bit of that gradient is enough to sell it. And then these patterns here, this is very common on clean models. You just do, like the color difference between these two colors is very subtle, just because it's enough to indicate that there is complexity of panels and stuff happening on this little tiny piece of plastic, but not enough to look too busy.
Yeah.
Like there's a fine line, you can't cross it. This is definitely one of the more challenging paint jobs.
Within Galaxy Quest, there's a really interesting model dichotomy that I don't think exists in any other late 20th century film, which is there's a protector from the TV series in Galaxy Quest, and then there's a real protector. And ILM built both of those ships.
Yeah.
And they built the TV show protector with a purposely shitty paint job.
Yes. That was the idea.
Right.
The idea was we had the 3-footer, which was the TV show version, and then we had one that was 9 feet long. That was the one that was supposed to be real.
Imagine this 9 feet long.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, and the engineering.
Oh, I want to talk about
that went into the wings.
Well, I also want to talk about Grant's engine nacelles.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot that went into that.
Who did the painting on the protector? Was that Carol?
There was a whole team of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I got to paint on the protector, and I was so thrilled because that's when I learned how to use the opalescent paints,
specular highlighting.
Yeah, specular highlighting, and that's something that was invented for Star Trek, and it was that same dilemma.
Yeah.
They had this giant white spaceship, an enormous scale, but it had to look clean. So how do you then indicate all these panels without it getting really busy?
So explain what the pearlescent paint job, how that would go.
It was a pearlescent powder that they would mix with clear paint, and we would airbrush them on, and there were interference colors. So basically, it's a reflective paint that you can only view if the light hits it at a certain angle. And so the paint job was very busy, and we used gold, blue, purple, and red, and then white. And we would airbrush all those little panels on there, and
just when you say airbrush panels, it would be like they would you might even get stickers from the laser cut room of like a splay of small details, and you'd lay on friskets and take them off, lay on another frisket, take it off, and each would give you a different like spread of panels.
Yeah, we would laser cut file folders because they were a nice thin piece of cardboard but stiff, and you could reuse them a couple times and they wouldn't get soggy. But yeah, so there were thousands of these. That's why I ended up getting to help on this, because we had all our brilliant painters that did that for a living, and then I get to pinch hit here and there.
Yeah, I loved it when I got to join them in the painting booth.
Yeah, I learned so much. So yeah, we just covered the whole thing with that, and if those were regular paints, it would look like a mess of little rectangles and L shapes and Tetris kind of shapes, right?
Well, and it ends up being that thing you only see as the ship is moving, right?
Just when the light hits it, just right. Because it's a curved shape, you only see it as the ship is passing a light. And you just see the little glimmers of each panel.
Right. And it's all this detail, your eye just fills in a story.
It's a beautiful technique. I don't know who came up with it, but it's mind-blowing.
I remember our common mentor, Mitch Romanowski, coming to me and going, dude, have you heard about the specular highlighting that they do here? And then he walked me over to one of the Trek ships that was on display. And actually, I visited Blue Origin a couple of years ago, and they've got one of ILM's Enterprises. And I was like, I pulled out my flashlight, and I was like, dudes, come over here. Let me tell you about specular highlighting. And I like pointed out all that paint job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, if you watch Galaxy Quest now, you'll see the engine nacelles back here have this beautiful lighting effect, and you'll say to yourself, that's a nice CG effect, and the answer is no. It's actually a completely on-set, in-camera, practical effect brought about by the engineering prowess of Grant.
Yes. Yeah, he made these custom circuit boards with the little dial, and yeah, I remember he spent a decent amount of time on that.
Well, because he built this custom circuit board for both taking an LED bulb and brightening it and dimming it using, I think he's using pulse width modulation, but then a program that can do it across multiples, and then a program that can do it for a motion control camera. So it's not just enough that it goes woo, woo. The fact is, it didn't do that on set. It just did that as each increment. So Grant is effectively building a custom circuit board to animate lights for a motion control camera.
Correct. Yeah, that's like go motion or stop motion.
That blew my mind when he showed me, because I remember coming over to his desk and be like, come here, I want to show you this. It's the first time I ever designed a board, you know, and he's so psyched.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. And then we used reflective material for the 3-footer. There were stickers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like that. It was very popular in the 70s.
Oh, 3M Scotchlite, you mean?
Yeah. Well, not Scotchlite. No, it was like that reflective, like they call it hologram. Back in the 70s, holographic stickers.
Yeah.
But they were just really metallic stickers with these kind of patterns in them.
So that's what
That's all that was in those for the 3-footer.
I thought you were referring to, like on Space Cowboys, when we wanted to shoot the wing of the shuttle heating up, we coated it in 3M Scotchlite and then shined a red light at it, and that made it look like it was glowing.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so this was much cheaper because it was supposed to look cheap.
I miss that kind of problem solving sometimes.
I do too. Fortunately, we still get a decent amount of that here. But yeah, I miss the really big budget miniatures. We just don't get those anymore.
I remember
that's not a common thing.
I remember the energy at ILM when Pearl Harbor came in, and we were building like the two big, giant 40-foot long,
32-foot ships, I think.
I mean, and same thing on Pan, right? Those big...
the galleons,
the Grimace, the galleons. I wasn't on Black Pearl or any of those. But
I wasn't on Pirates either, but I did get to work on the ship for Peter Pan.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
I left Fogler with that one half done. This has been a walk down memory lane. I hope it's been roughly as enjoyable for you as it has been for us, because this is just naturally what happens between Fon and I when we get together. Thank you so much, my friend.
That's great to see you.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.